Nice bruises, Your Majesty. Didn't know Camp Arlo offered beauty treatments? The voice came slick and sharp, like oil on a blade cutting through the heavy dawn air with just enough volume to draw attention. Corporal Jace Rennick slid back into line, a crooked grin playing at his lips, clearly fishing for a reaction. But across the scarred training yard, Lieutenant Rowan Vale didn't budge. Her tank top, soaked and clinging, told the story of a morning already hard-fought. Dust coated her arms like ash, each breath slow and measured. She was carved from grit and fire and far too focused to waste on bait. Faint purples and angry reds painted her skin, creeping along her arms, darkening near her collarbone. These weren't marks from a single misstep. They were the kind that settled in over time, earned one punishing hour at a time. Her knuckles were split, her stance uneven by a hair, but her spine held straight, unyielding. Behind her, the rest of the squad stirred. A few low snickers broke the silence, more out of habit than malice. Others watched with distant curiosity, as if she were just another spectacle before breakfast. She was the newcomer, officially the first woman posted to Echo Una in over 2 years. No welcome briefing, no origin story, just her name on the roster one morning and boots on the dirt by noon. The rest was speculation. Word had started circulating through the barracks the night before, hushed between bunks and over half-finished rations. Some claimed she was recovering from a classified op gone sideways. Others guessed disciplinary reassignment. Whatever the truth was, no one had the full picture. Only fragments on the bruises. Some chalked her up as just another desk jockey, another clipboard warrior, dumped into the dirt to prove she could keep pace with the mud-soaked. But Rowan didn't bite, didn't flinch, didn't even blink, and that silence, it grated on Rennick more than he cared to admit. "So, tell me, Lieutenant," he drawled, grin lazy and laced with venom. "How many push-ups does it take to snap a wrist? Or did you trip over your ego again?" Scattered laughter followed, low and mean, like hyenas watching from the tall grass. "So, tell me, Lieutenant," he drawled, grin lazy and laced with venom. "How many push-ups does it take to snap a wrist? Or did you trip over your ego again?" Scattered laughter followed, low and mean, like hyenas watching from the tall grass. The laughter wasn't loud, it didn't need to be. It was the kind that nudged at lines, probing for weakness. None of them truly knew her. And where knowledge is absent, arrogance rushes in to fill the void. What they failed to imagine, what not one of them even thought to ask, was that Rowan hadn't been reassigned. She'd requested this post. Not for glory, not for some imagined redemption arc. She came back because of a debt. One no one else could see, one only she could carry. From a slight ridge beyond the training perimeter, Commander Elias Drager stood with his hands clasped behind his back, eyes locked on the scene below. His face gave away nothing, but his thoughts moved fast. The moment she climbed out of the transport that morning, he'd felt it in his gut. This wouldn't be simple. Rowan Vale never asked for a spotlight, but somehow, wherever she went, stories ignited like dry brush under lightning. Still, Drager remained still, watching, calculating. He knew better than to step in too soon. She stood motionless beneath the rising heat, the light catching on the fading bruises along her throat, half-healed, but still burning with old fire. She didn't argue, didn't lower her gaze, because Rowan Vale knew something they hadn't learned yet. Silence, when worn with purpose, commands more respect than noise ever could. She looked like someone who had walked through something most couldn't name, someone scorched but not broken. And already, a few in the ranks were whispering doubts, not about what she'd survived, but whether she'd actually made it back. The scar just below her left eye caught the sunlight, a pale, jagged line, almost surgical in its precision. It shimmered like something earned in silence. Her stance was steady, shoulders squared, not from arrogance, but from something deeper, something weathered, ancient. Then Commander Drager's voice broke the air, calm, calculated, sharp as a blade dragged over stone. "Call sign, Widow to Till." The field froze, every breath stalled, every smirk vanished. Like a match to dry powder, the weight of that name did the rest. The teasing laughs, the sidelong looks, the barely concealed smirks, all of it seemed to vanish into the thickening air. Even the wind seemed to pause, waiting. Private Rennick blinked, caught somewhere between confusion and irritation. "Widow, what now?" he muttered under his breath. From the small rise, Commander Drager descended with steady, deliberate steps. His boots met the earth with a slow cadence. Arms relaxed at his sides, fists loosely curled, ready, yet restrained. "You just ran your mouth at Widow 27, kid." The silence didn't just fall, it clenched, as if every soldier out there had been yanked into a story far bigger than themselves. At the far edge of the formation, Private Keller, a green recruit from Arizona, youngest of 5 brothers in uniform, exhaled sharply, surprised to find he'd been holding his breath all along. "No way," he murmured under his breath. Beside him, another recruit's eyes grew wide, shadows of recognition flickering in their depths. The name had floated through briefings past, like ghost stories shared during long, restless night watches. Widow 27 wasn't just a soldier, she was legend. A name spoken in hushed tones when recalling the darkest deployment nightmares. The woman who vanished from comes for 5 days straight, only to reappear, dragging a wounded teammate through a hailstorm of enemy fire. But legends had a way of blurring truth in this woman. This bruised, quiet silhouette with grit tangled in her hair and dried blood staining her collar, she didn't look like a myth. Or did she? Commander Draeger halted mere feet from Rennick, eyes narrowing like thunder gathering on the horizon. You don't have to grasp what it means, he said, voice low and commanding, but you'd better damn well remember it. Behind Rowan, one of the veteran instructors rose to attention, not out of formal duty, but because something deep inside compelled him to. For the first time since her arrival, a ripple moved through the ranks, not just silence, but something heavier, recognition. Ever heard of Operation Ghostline? Commander Draeger's voice cut through the stillness, but loaded with meaning. His voice stayed steady, no need to raise it. 4 years back, a 7-man recon team was deployed deep behind the land divide. A place cold, isolated, and unforgiving. Their mission: verify intelligence on a weapons site we were never meant to know about. He hesitated not to dramatize, but because speaking those words still carried a weight, a cost. What was supposed to be a quick 48-hour mission stretched into 8 grueling days. A few soldiers shifted uneasily. They'd been ambushed on the second day. 2 men lost immediately. One bled out before dawn. Another disappeared without a trace, never to be found. That left only 3 survivors. The wind stirred softly again, but the formation remained frozen. One of the men carried shrapnel so deeply lodged in his chest that every breath was a battle. Another, their steady-handed specialist, was knocked out cold in the explosion. The silence deepened as he continued. The last survivor, shot clean through the thigh, 2 broken ribs, no painkillers, no extraction team in sight. Just 12 miles of frozen wasteland and shadows standing between her and any hope of survival. His gaze found Rowan again. She hadn't wavered, not once. She carried the comms operator piggyback and hauled the injured soldier on a makeshift sled fashioned from torn pack straps and a snapped rifle barrel. No reinforcements, no air cover, only sheer determination. The squad stood hushed, but Rowan, she was somewhere far away. Back then, there were no formations or orders, no Rennick mocking from the sidelines, just blood staining the snow, the rasp of her own breath growing shallow with each passing hour, and a faint fading voice behind her, barely audible. If I pass out, don't stop, keep moving. That was all she did, Evan, when her sight blurred, even when she crawled the final 300 yards with him slung over her shoulders. Because standing was no longer an option. Now, beneath the harsh Wyoming sun, Rowan's fists clenched so tight her nails bit into her palms. Not from rage, but because Evan now, even here, that ghost still clung to her. Draeger's voice sliced through the silence, pulling her back from the past. You think she returned, seeking glory? He asked the formation, his gaze sharp and unyielding. She came back because some who walk through fire don't leave it behind. For the first time, even the most defiant soldiers averted their eyes. What they'd just heard wasn't a tale of battle, it was a scar that never healed, and a warning carved deep into flesh and bone. And for the first time, even the loudest voices quieted, their gazes dropping not from fear nor shame, but from something rarer in this place: genuine respect. Rowan Vale remained still, hands clasped behind her back, feet firmly rooted. The sun climbed higher, glinting off the thin layer of sweat tracing her neck. She hadn't uttered a word, yet the silence had transformed, charged, heavy, and unmistakably different. This time, she wasn't alone. She stood taller because of it. Commander Draeger exhaled slowly through his nose, as if releasing a burden long carried. You really believe Command just sent her here? His gaze swept over the formation, now straighter, breaths measured. That this was some routine reassignment, a favor, a pity transfer. He stepped forward, pausing deliberately before the squad. Lieutenant Rowan Vale had every reason to walk away. She could have accepted the discharge, gone home with honors and full clearance, and no one would have dared to question her choice. There was a pause, heavy enough for those words to sink in, but she didn't walk away. His voice cut through the stillness, not louder, but steely, resolute. She volunteered to return. A few cadets shifted uncomfortably. Ree, the youngest among them, blinked as if the words had caught him off guard. Not sent to sit behind a desk, draft reports, or smile for recruitment photos. Commander Draeger turned his gaze back to Rowan. She asked for the toughest post we have. Field instructor for pre-deployment cadets. His eyes scanned the group. That means you. No further explanation was necessary. Every soldier standing there understood now. This wasn't just a worn-down survivor clinging on. This was a leader who deliberately chose to return, to mold the next generation. Not through tales, but through the weight of her own scars. Commander Draeger's voice softened slightly, just enough to carry the truth. She didn't come back because she was forced to. She came back because she never forgot what happens when training falls short. No words were spoken, none were necessary. Because sometimes, leadership isn't worn on a chest or announced with a fanfare. Sometimes, it's a woman with bruised arms, a clenched jaw, and fire burning quietly behind her eyes. And in that moment, the squad stopped seeing her as the transfer sent to them. They saw her for who she truly was. The one who chose to come back,